Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much, of course, for tuning in to this episode of the Potterverse. Now, of course, this is the pre-show. This is when Blake finagles and touches all the buttons and makes all the magic happen before we record our podcast. This is also the time that we get to chat a little bit with you here, those of you who are joining us live. So whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, thank you so incredibly much for taking the time to join us here. Now, let's get this party a little bit more started by inviting a friend. Do us a favor, and no matter where you're watching from, share this with a friend. Now, of course, you can, share this on your wall. You could share it in your stories. You could share it all sorts of places. And if you do that, we would love for you to write Expecto Patronum right here in the comments. That's our way of knowing that you are able to share it, and sharing is caring when it comes to the podcast world. But better yet, you could take it one step forward and you can share this with a friend. So if you are on a social media platform where you can do the @tag and tag somebody and say @tag, hey Blake, I know that you love Harry Potter. You should check out this podcast. Do that right here. Do it in the comments. You can share it on Facebook into Messenger with somebody. Invite a friend to come on in and join this, whether they were someone who read the books with you in the first place. Maybe they went to midnight book releases and, you got to go do that. Or maybe you went to the movies together, or maybe their kids are reading it and you know that this is something that they may enjoy. Please take a moment to share this podcast with a friend. This is honestly the best way for us to grow is word of mouth. So if you come here and you love it, share with a friend.
That's always the way to go. Everything seems to be tip-top in my end, Marvin.
Sound is off.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Yeah, that person says, but our sound is on.
Oh, okay.
Everything is piping through.
Okay.
I promise it's on. As a matter of fact, let's just verify, because I know it is, but... Oh, hold on. I'm giving a medical emergency.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Oh, don't give
Don't
a
wanna do
medical
that.
emergency, Blake. No, thank you.
Piping through.
Oh, there we go.
I promise it's on. As a matter of fact, let's just verify.
There we go. It's working. So take a moment, as I said, share it. Share it with a child of yours who maybe now is an adult, but you know that they loved these books. Sharing is caring when it comes to the podcast. So we're going to give our friends who have shared with Expecto Patronum.
Yes.
And in the comments, we're going to give you a shout out. And our friends on Instagram, I got to tell you, friends on Instagram, you guys need to add the chatter a little bit. Add that chatter. Come on in.
Let's get some content.
Let's chat.
Let's do it.
Let's chit chat. I want to see their comments. That's all I'm saying. All right. So can we thank some people? Can you scroll up to the top
yes,
and
absolutely.
see who Expecto Patronum?
Absolutely. Let's do it. We got a lot of Expecto Patronums to go through here. Tamara was the first one.
Yeah,
first comment,
girl.
first everything. Expecto Patronum, thank you so much. Victoria, thank you. Caitlin, thank you.
Thank you.
Rebecca, thank you. Let's see who else we got here. Gloria, all right, way to go, girl.
Thank you, Anna.
Um,
Jennifer.
Awesome. Anna, thank you. Who else we got here? Melissa, thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa.
Denise, awesome. Way to go, girl.
Allison, thank you.
Susan, awesome. Thank you. And that's what we got
Tracy,
so
thanks
far.
so
Tracy,
much.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
much. And yes, I am rocking some Hufflepuff eyeshadow for all my puffs out there. So do us a favor, if you're in the chat, throw up your house sign. So your house emoji. So snake for Slytherin, an eagle or a raven for Ravenclaw. The badger, of course, for Hufflepuff, and the lion for Gryffindor. But I just feel like the puffs need some love from this side of the screen, so I'm gonna give it to you. And I did my golden yellow and black eyeshadow. If you want to see how I did it really quickly in my Marvelous VIP group right on Facebook. Just search the hashtag Minute with Mary, and you can request to join and get in there. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Debbie, so very much. So the fun question today. So, of course, in the comments, we love to know where you're tuning in from, the house in which you would reside if you were a student at Hogwarts. And do you have something else that you would like to add in regards to this chapter?
No. You go right ahead. This is your gig, kid.
What was your favorite Valentine's Day experience?
Oh,
Like
that's a
gift, or a present or experience?
That's a good one.
Keep it G-rated.
I like it.
Thank
I
you.
like it. Let's do it. All right. Are you ready to
Record a podcast?
Yes. why
Sure
not?
am.
All right, let's get her done, shall we? 10 seconds for...
Room tone. Nerd Clan. Guess what? This episode of the Potterverse is brought to you by Minute with Mary, and you need a little bit more me time. I know I sure do. And sometimes the best me time can be involving taking care of your skin. You know, this is the one body, the one face that we have. And sometimes when you just dive in and take care of that face of yours, whether it's skincare or sleep, you're going to thank yourself. You're going to thank yourself so much that the next time you pass yourself in a mirror, you may chortle like, I don't know, Gilderoy Lockhart. Listen, if you don't do that right now, if instead you look at yourself and it looks like, you know, you were hanging out with that banshee.
Free of charge.
Free of charge, yes. I can hook you up. I can hook you up with some actually tips and tricks free of charge by going to minutewithmary.com. And if you're on Facebook, search the hashtag Minute with Mary and request to join my marvelous VIPs free of charge. From Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners, and let's step into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure. How's it going? My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and if anything was ever that I own covered in toilet water, that's it. Throwing it away.
Really?
I don't care. It could be my iPhone. It could be my house. If it's covered in toilet water, out.
Okay.
I'm not touching it. I know it's the same exact water, but when it touches the toilet, it touches that bowl. Man, I don't know what's living in that thing. It could be all kinds of organisms that I don't know.
Yeah.
So especially when it's a diary, if it's just sitting in there, paper's soaking up all that stuff.
Well, it didn't soak it up.
Well, you know what I mean. Whatevs. It was around it. Things can jump on it. I don't know what's in there.
Listen,
I'm out. I'm out on toilet water paper.
You know what won't be able to affect that diary? COVID.
That's true.
Repel that.
Yeah.
That's all we need. That's what we need.
So
to
you're
get
saying
through
we need
this.
Tom Riddle's?
We need a Horcrux.
Yeah.
We need a Horcrux to get through this. Oh my goodness.
Just like that. A winner.
Absolutely.
Which
Good job.
Horcrux is your favorite Horcrux?
Oh, I think the necklace.
Oh.
I think the
That's
necklace.
so Slytherin of you.
Yeah, it is very Slytherin of me.
So Slytherin of you. Okay, so here we are. We are chatting about the very secret diary. And I'm just going to ignore the fact that I have pulled things out of a toilet.
Mm-hmm. Yep, go ahead.
You're welcome, Blake.
I don't even want to know.
Okay.
Because I'll throw your hands away. That's it.
Harry couldn't explain, even to himself, why he didn't just throw Riddle's diary away. The fact that even though he knew the diary was blank, he kept absent-mindedly picking it up and turning the pages as though it were a story he wanted to finish. And while Harry was sure he had never heard the name T.M. Riddle before, it seemed to mean something to him. Almost as though Riddle was a friend he had when he was very small and had half forgotten. But this was absurd. He'd never had friends before Hogwarts. Dudley had made sure of that.
Before we continue,
Yes.
Mo says on Facebook a very, very special thing. Harry is her favorite Horcrux.
Well done.
Well done, miss. Well done.
Yes.
Excellent stuff.
I dig it.
That was an excellent choice, Mary, to read. That was probably what I would have read, not written.
That's
read.
what makes it excellent.
Free of charge. I probably would have read that as well, because I think that is the absolute crux. Pardon the pun. It is the absolute crux of this chapter.
The absolute Horcrux.
And I think it is perfectly on point with what we are going to be discussing quite a bit today, as a matter of fact.
I concur.
If I have any say in what we're doing today, I think that's what we're going to be talking about.
Now listen, everybody. We're about to get this Potter Party started, but just in case you couldn't get enough, Mary and Blake, we've got a load of other podcasts for you to check out, and we have to make sure that you know about our This Is Us podcast. It's called This Is Us 2, because This Is Us starts back up on NBC later this month. We're so excited. We actually were talking with one of the editors today about how the process is going and how excited we are for everything. So just know that we've got a slew of other podcasts, whether it's Game of Thrones, Gilmore Girls, Outlander, This Is Us Too, This Is Us, The Leftovers. We've got a ton of them. You can head on
Crown.
over to maryandblake.com. The Crown podcast that we have is going to be starting back up as well. And that is available for people at jointhenerdclan.com. That is our like super special community of people who really, really extra appreciate the work that we do here. So if we are bringing you Lumos in the time of Nox, if we are bringing smiles to your faces, if you are listening to our podcast on your ride to work, or maybe you're joining us live, please think about contributing at jointhenerdclan.com. For as little as $2 a month, you make a huge difference to keep this media company going. On that note, let's get into the show.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
Oh, Blake. So you liked this chapter, eh?
I loved this chapter.
Yeah, a lot of cool things happen.
I mean, there's
inside
some
of it.
stuff that's, whatevs, but I'm in on this chapter.
So what happens in this chapter is, of course, Myrtle's toilet floods, pew, splash, and Tom Riddle's diary is found in there. And Harry, like me, don't care if it's in toilet water. We're gonna scoop that thing right on up. There's a Valentine's Day party put on by none other than Gilderoy Lockhart. Free of charge. And then Harry finds out that this diary is super secret special, and he gets transported back in time through the diary and finds out that none other than Rubeus Hagrid was the one that opened the Chamber of Secrets.
Yes. Another fantastic red herring, by the way, in this book.
Red herrings would be everywhere.
Everywhere in this book. And that is another indication on why and how the author has certainly become more confident in her writing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously she planned the whole book out prior to writing it. That is clear. But the fact is that she's able to put these things in here, and she's able to lead you down paths, yet still retain the truth of what actually happened within her structure.
Writing a story must be so hard.
I could not do it. I mean, I love critiquing them. I'm all about that life, but writing one, unless I'm probably like collaborating with somebody, I don't think I could do it.
I know. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. So this, of course, happens between Christmas and Valentine's Day, which I just love in Harry Potter books, how like major events are often wrapped around holidays. It just, you want to be in that great hall. You want to be enjoying the festivities and doing all the fun things. So let's just take a moment.
Well, actually, I do want to take one moment before we continue.
Yeah.
Kristen here on Facebook says, longtime listener who rarely gets to watch live, wanted to mention, though, that she met a guy who hadn't read Harry Potter. I told him that just wouldn't work. So he's just started reading The Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, nice job.
It sounds like somebody I know.
Sounds like me. I was like, this is a make or break.
She told me that. She said, "No, you're nice and all. That you're great, but if you haven't read Harry Potter, that's it.
Yep,
we're
story.
We ain't doing this."
True story.
That is a very true story. All right, so continue, my dear.
Oh, no, I'm pulling up my notes. I actually took notes today through my Apple Watch. I was like, "Hey Siri, remind me that Ron had knowledge of bad books." Nerd! Hey Siri. Oh, she's listening again. How did Malfoy know that the Valentine was from Ginny?
Yeah, good one.
I know.
All good stuff.
Okay, so let's just...
Yeah, where do you want to begin?
I just want to have fun. Let's have a joyous moment.
All right, can we talk about then... Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Go ahead. No, you're right.
Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I just thought you would like it because it's a little lighthearted and it's your BFF. Your two BFFs from this universe are in the Valentine's Day party area. I just thought it would be fun for us to like chill in that for a moment. That Gilderoy Lockhart noticed that people were a wee bit glum, because kids are pretty much dying. And he puts on a Valentine's Day party and thanks the 49 people who've already sent him a Valentine's Day card.
And of course, he's the one who thinks, well, I mean, obviously, everything that I've done has stopped the attacks. Let's just raise everybody's fun and spirits by throwing a Valentine's Day party. I mean, like, how Gilderoy Lockhart is that? And again, that just goes to show you the kind of writing that the author is doing. The fact that you could say something along the lines of how Gilderoy Lockhart is that, of him throwing a Valentine's Day party, is a perfect example of character over plot. And she has created a fantastic character in in Lockhart. And also, I would argue later on in this chapter, Tom Riddle. Tom Riddle has some great stuff about him that we will get to in a little bit. Though, I must say, Hermione is she's got some problems.
Like, she's half cat
That's
still.
what I'm saying. Like,
and she's been there for weeks.
Yeah, she's there for like the better part of a month, right?
2 months. We're now on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right. Good point. Yeah, 2 months. Having said that, that means she's missed.
Yeah, a month and a half.
She's missed a month and a half worth of class.
I mean, she hasn't missed it because the boys have been going there every single day after class to bring her work. But she is excited to get back in action.
Well, but
She
we
is
all
staying
know
on
what
top
happens
of
to
it.
her after this. And that is, again, for the better part of the rest of the semester. So is she like JFF? Are they going to have to like redo all this work?
What's JFF?
Justin Finch Fletchley?
Oh, already
Or
forgot
Colin
about him.
Creevy? Yeah.
Like
Oh,
where's
wow, you already forgot about a Hufflepuff. You know
where's
what?
his mention?
Just like that. A winner.
Where is his mention when we're talking about the hospital room? Like, poor Justin. Where are you? Because Hermione got the cloth draped around her, but you still have Colin and Justin and nearly headless Nick.
Yep.
Do they get hungry? We just don't know.
We don't know.
They're just
just
chilling
there.
with Miss Norris. Like, are they put in a closet, a broom closet? I don't know where they're put during this time.
How about the fact that the mandrakes are growing, and the author makes a point to tell you that they're growing. And not only are they growing, they start to resemble teenagers because they become secretive and they want to like just do nothing, and they're holding
and once
back.
their acne clears up, then we can
yeah.
chop them up and boil them up for the potion. It's going to be great.
And it's great to show you that the life in the magical world takes a form of its own, and it continues to do that. We start with the car. The car seemed to take on a form of sentience itself, and now the life cycle of a mandrake is coming through, and they're exhibiting the forms and the style of a teenage human. I just find that fascinating.
I know. Of course, Hermione is just smitten by Gilderoy Lockhart, though, as she's in the hospital wing, and they're checking on her, and she's got that little card, that get well card, signed by Gilderoy with all of his accolades listed underneath. And what I loved about this is, Ron's constantly after Hermione. He even says, "Is Lockhart the smarmiest bloke you've ever met, or what?" As he and Harry are leaving. He keeps poking fun of Hermione about Gilderoy. And mind you, Ron is spot on.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Gilderoy is a schmuck. Ron completely sees through it. But also, remember, they're 12. So I think that this is the beginning of the jealousy that Ron has, for his feelings for Hermione.
Yeah.
Because Harry's not the one who's vocalizing this. Like, come on, Hermione. You really sleep with that under your pillow. It's Ron who notices.
I love how it's written too. To Miss Granger, wishing you a speedy recovery from your concerned teacher.
Yes.
Professor Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin, 3rd class. Honorary member of the Dark Force Defense League and 5 times winner of Which Weekly's Most Charming Smile Award. Like, I love how the Charming Smile Award has kept popping up throughout this book. It's something that he is wildly proud of. And again, another little factor into the characterization of this man. Something that you can glean information from. It's not something he does. It's not something that describes like his clothing. It's not his job. It is just a character trait of his that is phenomenal.
Agreed.
Phenomenal.
So as the boys are leaving the hospital wing, I was just going to say Justin Fletchley.
Nobody cares about JFF.
Filch is, grumbling because there's so much mopping to do. And the poor thing, of course, he's a squib, so he can't bibbity-boppity-boo that away. So he's been mopping, and the boys run in to see what is the issue in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. And she's so upset because someone threw a book through her head. So she just made tidal wave of toilet come at everyone in the world. And inside, Harry finds this thin, small book, and it has a shabby black cover, and it was just wet like everything else. And what I loved is, how Ron was able to say that books are dangerous. Because Harry's like picking it up, and Ron's like, "Are you crazy? It could be dangerous. Dangerous."
Right.
Harry says, laughing. "Come off it. How could it be dangerous?" "You'd be surprised," said Ron, who was looking apprehensively at the book. "Some of the books the Ministry's confiscated. Dad's told me there's one that burned your eyes out, and everyone who's read Sonnets of a Sorcerer spoke in limericks for the rest of their lives. And some old witch in Bath had a book that you could never stop reading. You had to wander around like Belle from Beauty and the Beast with your nose in it, trying to do everything one-handed." And what I love about this,
I think you've had that book actually, Mary. Oh no, that was Twilight. Never mind. Sorry.
so what I love about this is Ron once again is filling us in the Wizarding world. Ron, who just gets such the shaft when it comes to the movies, is being dim-witted. Here he is. He has knowledge. His dad has even told him he found these scary books. Ron is right about this book. Ron is right about this book. His dad probably
Absolutely.
confiscated some bad books, even from Draco Malfoy's house, from Lucius Malfoy. And this is one of those books that Lucius was able to give away, to send back to the school. This is another example of how Harry should have listened to Ron.
And not only should he have listened to Ron because it could have been dangerous, the reasoning that Ron gives for it potentially being dangerous is even better. He says it could have been anything, said Ron. Maybe he got 30 OWLs or saved a teacher from a giant squid. Maybe he murdered Myrtle. That would have done everyone a favor. Now,
for why he got the award? That's why he got the award.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Either way, I mean, this book is part of that. And I love how he holds Riddle accountable to that book and puts that into his fear of like why this kid you shouldn't be trusting this.
Yeah.
It could have been anything.
And how ironic that he says maybe he murdered Myrtle.
Right. And again,
Ron,
more
Ace.
spot on writing, and especially for this kind of story, a story that is a complete mystery from the jump. Who and what has done this with the Chamber of Secrets, and it is pardon the phrase, but it is a riddle for everybody to solve. And the author is immediately giving you, the reader, the answer right away. I mean, Tom Riddle didn't necessarily kill Myrtle, but he did set free the basilisk, which did kill Myrtle.
Yeah, and then he made a Horcrux out of her with his diary.
Right, exactly. So
2 for 1.
Yeah, exactly. So I just love that the author tells you the answer right away, and you as the reader have to parse that.
I mean, think about it. This is him like learning about how to use Horcruxes and wants to eradicate the school from mudbloods. So he learns how to open the Chamber of Secrets and is able to not only get rid of essentially a mudblood, but also turn in a Horcrux at the same time. And might I add, this is the most brilliant of his Horcruxes. It has his memory inside of it and has the ability to unlock the chamber yet again. Like an absolute brilliant, not just like this is a piece of my soul to take care of me if I were to get hurt,
Right, no,
but like it serves a purpose.
It's interactive.
Yeah. It's brilliant job, 16-year-old Tom Riddle.
And I also like here too that the mystery of what is happening with Harry is what pulls him. Harry couldn't explain, even to himself, why he didn't just throw Riddle's diary away. The fact was that even though he knew the diary was blank, he kept absent-mindedly picking it up and turning the pages as though it was a story he wanted to finish. And while Harry was sure he had never heard the name T.M. Riddle before, it still seemed to mean something to him, almost as though Riddle was a friend he'd had when he was very small and half forgotten. But this was absurd. He had never had friends before Hogwarts. Dudley had made sure of that. I love this notion, and this is going to be some real nerd talk, Mary.
Let's dive in.
You know what? I'll give you a preemptive.
Bring it on.
As we know, Harry is a Horcrux. What are you telling me?
I didn't know if you wanted to switch the camera
Oh,
angles.
no, it's okay. Sorry. As we know, Harry is a Horcrux, right? And is the book like is Harry making a conscious decision just because he's curious, or is it like Horcrux to Horcrux?
I think
bro
it's Horcrux
language?
to Horcrux. Like I've been with you since you were a baby. Like you do know me. since you were a child, since you
Right.
were a baby. We are old friends, friend.
And if that's the case, then
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and I've led you in this direction for a reason.
Okay.
I feel like when Harry does the Expelliarmus to Draco, when he has the diary in his hand and he's trying to get it away from Draco, don't you get the feeling that's a little bit of Frodo-esque, like getting angry at Samwise or getting angry at anybody? Like when Frodo was wearing the one ring to rule them all, the ring altered Frodo.
Yes.
Does the book alter Harry?
I don't think so. It's like, that's my stuff, man. Stop touching my stuff.
Yeah, but I think the characterization of Harry, as we've been talking a lot about that characterization for these characters within this chapter especially, what we've seen from Harry wouldn't necessarily demand that. I don't think Harry is one to
This is
jump
the boy
that
who said, "Give it
quickly.
here, Malfoy, or I'll knock you off your broom." I would disagree.
Yeah.
See, I think,
Maybe it's just Malfoy who does it to Harry.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Because I don't think anybody else. I don't think Harry acts
No,
like
this is
that.
his arch nemesis. No,
Yeah.
he's had it. Yeah. Oh, he would completely. And the fact that he can do Expelliarmus on him. Thank you, Snape, for teaching him that spell. Like Harry's super important spell of Expelliarmus. I
Yes.
love it. And I love that it's even mentioned here in the book. Like, just like how Snape had disarmed Lockhart, Harry did it to Malfoy. Yeah, no, I do. I think that this is the Horcrux to Horcrux, and I think that, yes, Harry feels pulled to this book, but also it's Malfoy. Like, don't touch my stuff, man. I feel like he would have done it even if it was his quill.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Just to, like, do it to him in front of everybody. Listen, Harry's having a rough year. Everyone thinks that he's the heir to Slytherin, and he's questioning if he's the heir to Slytherin. Draco makes his life terrible. Puts down all of his friends. Yeah, I'm done with him. I would do that.
You would Expelliarmus him. I just
Yeah.
the anger that he has.
I got angry at my nemesis in college and did something I'm not proud of. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm as true Gryffindor as it gets. I don't do it for everybody.
Yeah.
But one person just really got me revved up.
I don't know. It's in front of Percy. It's in front of the teachers. And
I did it on TV.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's why I'm saying, like, I can see Harry doing this. When Harry makes oopsies like this, I sit there and I go, have I done something similar? Yes, I have. Not my proudest moment, but I have.
Victoria says, hate to bring up how hardcore the author ripped off Lord of the Rings, but yep, love them both. But do you agree with that assessment, Mary, that the author ripped off Lord of the Rings for a lot of their stuff?
I don't really feel that way. I feel like, I mean, you could probably say that to a lot of different things. The Lord of the Rings was an amazing book, an amazing series.
You
But
could say that I think she was maybe inspired by some of the stuff. In particular, the Horcruxes.
I would lean towards Game of Thrones, which, like, George R. R. Martin has said that he's highly influenced by J.R.R. Tolkien. But I don't know. I don't feel that way for the Potter series. Personally, I don't.
No, fair enough. Absolutely.
Okay, so Valentine's Day.
Yes.
We'll just take a moment with the heart-shaped confetti falling down from the ceiling, and it doesn't disappear like the snow did at Christmas. The snow from the magical ceiling would melt or just disappear before it hit your plate. This sadly goes onto your plate, and Harry has to brush it off. And so there's a lot of things going around, and there's these dwarves that go around and they deliver Valentines. And this made me think about the Valentines they used to send you in school. So, Blake, I know that you went to a private Catholic high school.
Yes.
And I went through the public school system the entire time. I don't know about you, but the thing that we used to have is you could buy carnations for people.
Yes.
And this would be like a fundraiser for the school or
Yep.
for your class or whatever. And it would be like a carnation. And there'd just be this little stapled piece of paper with like who it was from or something. And different people would be going around delivering these carnations. Did they ever have anything more extreme than that at your school for a Valentine's Day experience?
No. The only thing that we had was the carnations. Like you could just, or if you, I think there was one year where they did like chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
But like you bought it from the school. Like
Mhm.
we used to have a candy store in our school. It was run by the nuns in high school. And at lunch, it was open. And after lunch, you can go to the candy store and you can go buy whatever the heck you wanted. So I think it was the nuns who went out and bought a whole ton of Hershey's or whatever, and you could send candygrams or something to the people that you wanted. So that was probably the height of our Valentine's Day experience at school.
I know when I taught, so I a couple years ago I was teaching. That's what my degree is in, music ed, and I was teaching, and I was at a private school. And what I loved is that we made sure that every single child at least got one carnation. You know, because there are those kids, like the super popular kids, get 50 million. So I'm actually quite surprised. Well, actually, Harry, everyone thinks he's the heir. I wonder if in latter years, if they were to do something like this, like say, I don't know, Harry's 6th year, how many he would get when everybody's going bananas for him. But he gets this dwarf coming around, singing to him, delivering this Valentine. Snape is completely insulted because Gilderoy Lockhart's telling people to go ask him how to make love potions. And Flitwick is a sly old dog, because he does entrancing enchantments. Like, I just think that this is a riot. Like, he is just going around calling out people like, oh, yes, Snape can make a love potion, which is like Snape's least favorite thing. And then he's calling Professor Flitwick, who is one of the most, if not the most respected. Like, I just feel like he's a very respected individual in the school community.
Sure.
Like, oh, he's a sly old dog. He does trancing enchantments. So the dwarf that's following Harry rips his bag because he's like trying to get him. He's holding onto his leg. Harry is utterly embarrassed. And there's this whole group of first years in front of him, including Ginny Weasley, which I love that Harry always notices Ginny. Just like when he was back at the Burrow and she slipped her elbow accidentally in the butter and he was the only one that noticed. So as much as we know that Ginny has a crush on Harry, Harry is starting to have the same effect for Ginny in different ways, just that he's always noticing she's there. And he's embarrassed at the fact that she's able to see this happen.
Right. And I also have to call out here the fact that we still are getting more clues about Ginny. This chapter is full of stuff that the author is just telling you. And if you're an engaged reader, you can suss it out. But if you're just reading for the pleasure of it, or if you're not thinking, it's just something.
Not that you're not thinking, because listen, I was an engaged reader the first time I saw it and read it. I was thinking.
Yeah, no, what I mean is, like, if you're not actively trying to figure out the mystery of it and you're just allowing it to wash over you, that's what I'm saying. You're allowing it to wash over you. You wouldn't think too much about this. But this right here.
Yeah, like if this was a TV show and you and I were doing a podcast about it episode by episode, chapter by chapter, without knowing it, delve in.
This is what it says. Wonder what Potter's written in this, said Malfoy, who obviously hadn't noticed the year on the cover, and thought he had Harry's own diary. A hush fell over the onlookers. Ginny was staring from the diary to Harry, looking terrified. Now, why, if you're reading this, why is Ginny so terrified? Why?
Yeah.
What is the point of her being terrified? And even without knowing the end of the book, even without knowing the twist, you sit there and say, well, it's not necessarily her diary. You don't know that. And even if it was her diary, which it is what she brought to the school, she herself knows there's no writing in it. So what is there to be afraid of?
I think when I first read this, I just took it as she was terrified for Harry, that Harry's belongings were all ripped out, that he was mortified by, having this Valentine sung in front of him. If she, in fact, is the person who sent the singing Valentine to him, she's terrified of, everything that's going on because this is not going the well that she thought that it was going to be. But that also that Draco now has Harry's diary.
Yeah.
This is someone that you care for, and you're like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but terrified? Terrified is different than, mortified.
Yes.
Terrified is sheer terror. You experience terror when someone is breaking into your house and you're in your room alone. That's terror. That is terrifying.
Yes.
That's not mortifying.
Now how am I going to sleep? Thanks, Blake.
Can we also talk about, though, how we can infer that this poem is from Ginny, but not... It's never explicit in the text.
Yeah, it's weird because Malfoy's the one that passes by Ginny, and he says, "I don't think Potter liked your Valentine much." And Ginny covers her face with her hands and ran into class. So, aside from that, like, why do we think it could be Ginny?
Well, we already know that she has some feelings for him. And the fact that it says here, his hair is as dark as a blackboard. I wish he was mine. He's really divine, the hero who conquered the Dark Lord. Listen, that is pretty explicit language in terms of feelings.
Yeah.
I wish he were mine.
Yeah, I don't know if an 11-year-old girl would pen this. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, they talk about limericks earlier in the chapter, and there's not a coincidence, I think, that this is written, I mean, somewhat in that style.
you know what I do find to be interesting is that she calls Voldemort the Dark Lord. This Valentine calls Voldemort the Dark Lord, and everyone who's in the wizarding world who is not of the dark side of the Force refers to him as he who must not be named.
Sure.
Like, you never hear the Weasleys call him the Dark Lord. You never hear his teachers. The Dark Lord is referred to by
Lucius.
Yeah, Lucius Malfoy, or anyone who kind of dabbled in that side or was a Death Eater. So I'm wondering if Snape.
Did Snape send him the Valentine that he wishes he was his?
That would be awesome. Or did Ginny pen it this way because she has been possessed by the Dark Lord, who would love to be called the Dark Lord? Maybe she was writing a Valentine and he was in her brain. He was like, girlfriend, I am not he who must not be named. I am the Dark Lord. You better learn how to rhyme with Lord.
I mean, it's a possibility.
There's a possibility.
But either way, I think it still shows the fact that Ginny is overtaken by Voldemort, yet she still retains part of herself. She's still fighting.
I mean, she's
it
gotten
off.
rid of the book, so she shouldn't be possessed anymore. I'm just saying I find the word Dark Lord quite interesting.
I find that interesting too. I find that is a very descriptive word. Again, if you're reading with intent,
yes,
and you're breaking it down bit by bit, that would suggest that it may not be her, though, because she may have been possessed by him when she wrote it.
True.
Maybe that it is him. And that furthers the conversation here. What kind of sentience does the book have as Tom Riddle's, soul, right?
Wow, what?
Right? So is Tom Riddle,
the
soul of Tom Riddle within the diary?
Yes. A piece of his soul.
Yes.
Yes.
Is his piece of soul aware of what happened with Harry?
Yes.
How is that possible?
Because it's all connected to regular Voldemort. Tom Riddle knows. He admits it, at the end. Like, you're the one person I'm trying to go after. It's been you. That's what I want to do. I don't want to go after Mudbloods. I want you now, buddy.
Because Tom Riddle, as a 16-year-old within the book, is aware of what happened with Harry.
I think he has some of that psychic connection with the regular Voldemort. This is just a piece of Voldemort. So yes, it's living in there. And that's why I think this is the most interesting, aside from Harry, the most interesting of the Horcruxes.
Sure.
Because it gets to act on its own. It does have this knowledge of like the previous time frame plus the current time frame. So I just see it as he knows what's up. Like, I highly doubt Ginny Weasley was like, let me catch you up on the past 50 years.
Well, then
Or did he get it because he was possessing Ginny Weasley and he got all of her knowledge?
Well, then here's the next question. If his soul is in the diary and that has this connection to Voldemort, and Voldemort is aware of Harry being who he is within the diary because of the connection, why then does Voldemort not know that Harry is a Horcrux? Because that's part of his soul.
He was an accidental Horcrux. So Voldemort made these other Horcruxes.
Right.
He made the book. He made the diadem. He did all these things. He didn't mean to make Harry.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, I mean...
But part of me is wondering, as I said, if maybe just while Tom Riddle possessed Ginny Weasley, if that's how he gained all this knowledge about Harry. I mean, let's be real. She was probably writing in the diary nonstop. Oh my gosh, I love Harry Potter. He's the best. Oh, who's this Harry Potter?
She's writing initials GP. You
Yeah.
know.
That's how I'm going to go with it, that it's all because of Ginny. But speaking of Weasleys,
Yep.
can we have a moment for Percy?
Sure.
Poor Prefect Percy. He gets so much time in this book and not enough time in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just love how he's always, dripped in right here, and he's always breaking up the fights. He's always in the middle of this stuff, and he tells Malfoy like, "Stop it right here. I'm a school prefect." And even though Prefect Percy is right there, that is when Harry does his first Expelliarmus that we get to see. And it's interesting that he does his first Expelliarmus, his most used spell, the one that he's really known for. He does it to retrieve a piece of Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wild when you think of it? Like, you wouldn't think that his first time using that would be to kind of like save Voldemort.
to get
Yeah.
him. And that, I think, the diary of it all is awesome because it introduces Tom Riddle. And within the writing of a diary, we're already getting a phenomenal picture of Tom Riddle. Not necessarily because of the visual of him later on, or even the experience that Harry has with the book itself. Because the book is pretty creepy, I think. The book itself is nondescript. It has there's nothing special about it. I feel like the author wants you to overlook the diary. Like, it's important. It is. But there's nothing. It reminds me of the cup of the carpenter in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
It's not this big gold. It's not this big ornate thing. It's just this random diary that has a smudged name and a year on it, and that's it. That's the end of it.
But it's not.
I know. And do you think the author did that purposely to make you think that the diary is important, but it ain't that important?
Well, and I think Harry needs to be alone when he really gets to the bottom of this diary. And I think that that's what's it. He has it with his classmates. He has it in the halls, but he really needs some alone time when he realizes that the ink doesn't penetrate this diary. And when it does, he of course begins to have this conversation with Tom Riddle.
Yes.
And it brings him, I love the description of like him bringing the date to his face, and then he feels like he's tilting and going inside. So he essentially gets to be a part of the past and just visually see it, where there's a different headmaster, and he meets Tom Riddle. And what I found was so interesting is that the author made a point to say that Tom Riddle's hair looked exactly the same shade as Harry's.
Well, and this is what I want to get into, Mary, because the similarities between Harry and Voldemort or Tom Riddle at this point are uncanny.
Correct.
And I want to take this leap.
Do
I can't wait to take this leap.
Do it.
But there's one thing I have to call out before we get there.
Is it summer holidays?
No, not at all. It is. I love how the author says, oozing back out of the page in his very own ink came the words Harry had never written. "Hello, Harry Potter. My name is Tom Riddle. How did you come by my diary?" First, the writing for Tom Riddle is exquisite. How did you come by my diary? It
like purrs at you. How did you come by my diary?
Right. It gives you a unique feel. This is not a child writing it. This feels like someone who is a little bit more wise than a child.
Yes.
But there's a specific point here the author makes. It's Harry's very own ink. It's the ink Harry uses to write his identity, which is then fed back to him that it's Tom Riddle. He's saying, "I'm Harry Potter." That ink is then translated into "I'm Tom Riddle." That right there already sets the stage.
Yep.
And this is why the characterization of Tom Riddle in this diary is so special. Because not only is he using this kind of language, it's Harry's own stuff. It's Harry's own things. And it continues on. "Lucky that I recorded my memories in some more lasting way than ink. But I always knew that there would be those who would not want to this diary read." This, again, we have some more eloquent speech here, but it leads to the next portion, which is, "What do you mean?" Harry says. I mean that this diary holds the memories of terrible things, things which were covered up, things which happened at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Immediately, we get a sense that Voldemort knows exactly what Harry wants. And this is why I asked you about the sentience of the book and the Horcrux itself. Is Voldemort playing to Harry's curiosity specifically? Is that with purpose? Is that with intent? What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because he knows that Harry's a Gryffindor and that Harry's searching for this. Who knows how much Ginny has already told him. But I think, he needs to lure Harry. He needs to gain his trust. But knowing that Harry is a brave Gryffindor, he knows that he would want to find out the answer to this. And he needs to gain his trust by giving him a culprit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I jokingly said, the black hair and the summer holiday. So that's why we see Tom in this headmaster area asking him, can I please stay in Hogwarts for the summer? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to the Muggle orphanage. And it's very important to hear that because Harry most likely does not want to go back to his Muggle family, to his terrible aunt and uncle. And that's what Voldemort, aka Tom Riddle, is saying. He's like, it's a terrible place. I don't want to go there, please. And just the chapter before, at Christmas, when the Dursleys sent a toothpick, they asked, can you please stay at Hogwarts for the summer holiday?
Sure.
So I think it was a really neat mirror.
Absolutely.
That just the chapter before, it's reminding you this Muggle family, which doesn't feel like family, doesn't want you here for the summer, and how Harry would truly probably love to be there for the summer holiday as well.
Right. And not only that, Mary, there are so many more similarities that we get into this antagonist versus protagonist relationship. We've talked about so many times on many different podcasts. The relationship between antagonist and protagonist can be very easily mixed up with a warm, loving relationship, one that is shared between two lovers. Now, I'm not suggesting that Harry and whatever, but what I'm saying is the relationship there is, as you said, is a mirror. And Voldemort didn't like the Muggles that he lived with. He felt special. He was an orphan. He looks like Harry. Riddle was a half-blood when he was orphaned. And here's a great example of how these two are really alike. Riddle didn't trust the headmaster. And when the headmaster was asking him, like, hey, Tom, do you know about this stuff? Like, do you know about the Chamber of Secrets? Riddle lies, straight up lies, and says it the same exact way that Harry lied to Dumbledore.
In that same room.
And it is so special that Harry, who has felt alone more and more and more at Hogwarts, even from his friends, the one bit of comfort that he finally gets happens to be from this diary, which happens to be Tom Riddle, who was lying to him this entire time, making him feel like he's got his back.
Yeah.
It's leading Harry astray. And that is what we're really talking about here. These two are absolutely mirrors for each other. They're doing things for each other. They're making each other, or at least Tom Riddle's making Harry make choices that will alter him specifically and change Harry for the better eventually. And they kind of want the same thing. They kind of want their identity. They want to find themselves.
Yeah.
And they want their life. And they're going about it two completely different ways. I find that so spectacular. And that is why the characterization here is so great, because you can delineate all of that just from this diary.
Deep chapter, man.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just saying it is such a deep chapter. And then, of course, Tom goes and he stops for a moment at the stairs. And this is what's really cool, is that we, as the reader, know Tom Riddle is thinking, okay, I want to stay at Hogwarts. I do not want to go back to the orphanage. I'm the one that opened the Chamber of Secrets. But they need to find out who did it to make sure that this school can be safe, or else who even knows, the school itself could be shut down. I can't have that happen. This is my one place of refuge. So he goes and puts the blame on Hagrid. Of course, this is really cool. We get to meet teenage Rubius Hagrid,
Mm-hmm.
who has this pet spider who we later on meet as Aragog. And Hagrid's telling him, like, no, he wouldn't do this. It's not his fault. And luckily, Aragog escapes. I find it quite interesting. So here's the Slytherin who knew the secret of Hagrid.
Mm-hmm.
And is it because Hagrid was like keeping this spider down in the dungeons near the Slytherin rooms? I don't know how this relationship happened between Snape and Voldemort.
Snape.
I'm going to say Hagrid and Voldemort. And I find it quite interesting that Hagrid isn't more bitter against Voldemort and Tom Riddle.
Well, I think it's just because he's just terrified. Like, I see bitterness, but I still sense real fear.
Like, here's the thing. If you had a run-in with someone terrible and terribly famous,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when that person's name would come up in conversation, you'd be like, yeah, guess what? Guess what he did to me?
Right.
Even if it's, or flip side, if it's someone famous that's good. You know what I mean? Like, if you had dinner and, you know, Mandy Moore sat next to you and was like, oh my gosh, that's Art for Nerds. Love that shirt. You know, anytime someone's like, oh, Mandy Moore, you'd be like, yeah, I can't believe she saw my shirt and liked it. So
Kind of like when Carrie Coon was talking to us and she's like, you're the guys who called me Honey Badger?
Yes.
And we were like, oh my God, you know about Honey Badger?
Yes.
That was in our Leftovers podcast, ladies and gents.
Exactly. So it is weird to me that Hagrid never really references, here or really in any of the books, much about his personal interactions with Tom Riddle in school. So I just needed to get that off my chest.
One thing I have a question for you on, Mary, is we know that the scene here between Riddle and Hagrid is essentially fabricated. From later on, I think in the book or in the, at least in the movie, we find out that it's somewhat fabricated. Because it's purely based on Riddle's memory. It's purely based on his interpretation of events, and he can manipulate that interpretation of events to suit his narrative, right? But as we read this, are we, the reader, supposed to really believe that Hagrid was the one who opened the Chamber of Secrets? I mean, here it is. What's up, said Ron, looking at him with concern. It was Hagrid, Ron. Hagrid opened the Chamber of Secrets 50 years ago. It's not said with questioning. It's not said with tongue in cheek. It's like, no, Hagrid did it. Are we, the reader, supposed to believe this?
So as someone reading it and enjoying it and loving it, and as someone who felt very connected to Harry Potter as I read this, I believed Harry. I also loved it because it kind of made me feel like how I would when I would watch Scooby-Doo. Like, it was, you know, the attendant at the table the entire time. Oh my gosh.
Right.
You know, like, it's this person who's been right under your nose. And I just kind of thought, you know, we were tricked that way with Quirrell, that it was this teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first read this, I was, you know, you're questioning the book slightly, but on the flip side, it's this magical world. And you are sitting there reading that thinking, oh my gosh, is it this guy who we've trusted all this time?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's great because it puts these doubts in our minds. And as we move into future books, more people are wrongly accused of major things. So it's just a really interesting conundrum that people get put in. But yes, I do remember being like, no way. But then you quickly find out it's not him.
Gloria here asks on Facebook, was Hagrid even a Slytherin?
Hagrid was a Gryffindor.
He was a Gryffindor. Now, textually, within, I think, the books, it is not specific in the book that Hagrid was a Gryffindor. He only says, he talks about the rest, I think, of the, at least up until this point. He talks about the other houses, but he doesn't specifically say, I was a Gryffindor. Though, I know that the author has come out and said, yes, he was in fact a Gryffindor. But I don't think textually it's supported. Like the same way textually, Tom Riddle is not supported as being a Slytherin in this book so far. There's no clue that he is a Slytherin.
Okay.
There's nothing indicating that he is. He's just there. And that's probably on purpose, because if he were a Slytherin, you would already have, you know, because we already have that good versus evil thing between Gryffindor and Slytherin. Harry the Gryffindor, battling with himself, the insecurity of being a Slytherin. Slytherin, of course, equaling that of greed and insecurity for Harry. If Tom Riddle were to be completely a Slytherin, as it was indicated by this book, I think that would probably be a little too on the nose for the kind of person that he was. So I think the author purposely and smartly keeps that vague.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Because, we just have it already painted in our heads, good versus bad. I do find it interesting, Tom Riddle was 16, so that means he's in his 6th year. He's a prefect. And Hagrid was expelled in his 3rd year. So, as I said, Tom Riddle, I wonder, I mean, obviously he was all bad to the bone, so he probably put the sorting hat on his head and he got sorted Slytherin right away. But I'm always amazed at how smart Voldemort, aka Tom Riddle, was. Like, you have to think, this is a 16-year-old boy who didn't want to go home, didn't want to go date girls. Like, he was reading all sorts of dark magic. He had the knowledge that a 3rd year in a different house had a secret pet that he could frame him for. Whereas Harry, doesn't even know pretty much anyone outside of his year.
Right. He's just walking along.
Yeah, there's not even that many kids at the school, you know? So I find it very interesting when you think about the thirst for knowledge, granted dark knowledge, that Tom Riddle had.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else you want to say about this chapter, my love?
That is it.
I really liked this chapter, and I don't think it's a coincidence that right now, with the discovery of the book and Harry engaging with the book or the diary, we're beginning the 3rd act of where we're getting to the final part. And my question to you, my final question, I guess, Mary, is we waited all this long, and finally we get to some real meat. I mean, up until this point, it's been like, oh, we have this, and this happens, and that happens, but 3rd act, finally, we get somewhere, and Harry finally starts to go somewhere with himself, and it's all because of Tom Riddle, which is leading him down a false path. Do you think the structure of this book is off? Because we waited all this long. It took till the 3rd act to get to something.
But on the flip side, these students, these children have been trying all year to find out.
Yeah.
They have been trying and failing and trying and failing. It took, goodness, so long even just for the polyjuice potion to be brewed. So, no, I just think that it goes to show you their determination and their persistence.
Sure.
And all the while, there are still fun things that happen at school. Because let's be real, if Harry went to school and within October, all of this went down with Tom Riddle and bad news, Harry may rethink going back to Hogwarts every year. So I think, we need to have fun while we're there. Harry needs to have fun. And yes, some crazy things happen every once in a while, and that's okay if it happens towards the end, but we get to go on this journey with him. So no, I don't think that this is how it is, and I will ask you as a reader of this series, when you get to book 4, to enjoy the ride.
Oh,
No, because
I'm
book
not
4 is
looking
an
forward to book 4.
amazing, magical book. But you need to know that this is the magical wizarding world of Harry Potter, and that we are in the Potterverse. We're not in the Voldiverse. Okay? So just because I feel like you cling to the bits oh yeah, we're finally getting to the Voldemort part. We're finally getting to it. And I think what I'm going to ask of you is to enjoy and savor our time at Hogwarts.
Yeah, I think... No, and again, I'm not saying that I disliked all the other stuff, but, the 1st act of this book it's stuff. It's things and stuff.
It's Dobby.
Yeah, and the 2nd act of the book is... petrification and
polyjuice
and what is happening.
Yeah.
And then finally we get to
The chamber.
something, and halfway through the book, that's of course I think that was the duel, the dueling chapter. I think that was halfway through the book. I could be wrong, but regardless, or it could have been the Gilderoy Lockhart chapter. Either way, doesn't matter. What I'm saying is something happens where it finally introduces this mystery, but that's the center point of the book. That is the turning point. Though I think I would probably argue that this might be the turning point. Would you, the diary?
Why wouldn't it be when there's blood on the wall that says the chamber is open?
Because that is the inciting incident. the turning point is when Harry starts to take comfort in Tom Riddle.
Interesting. I don't really know. I don't really like think about that stuff.
I know, but that's why I'm asking the question, and I'd love to hear what the listeners and everything say.
You're kind of being a drag.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking questions. Victoria asks, is Blake that guy that just wants to get to the finish line and never stops to smell the flowers along the hike?
Yes.
Well, in terms of walking, yes. I need a destination. I need to know where I'm going, when it will end.
Hiking with Blake
It sucks.
is the worst.
It is the worst. I'm the worst hiker.
He's like, where's the map? How long is this trail? Where are we going? Is there something that we're going to? And I'm like, Blake, we're going on a hike.
and generally for stories, I love the idea of a story just washing over me and just letting the author take me where she wants to go. But I just think structurally, it's just an interesting choice.
Good.
It's an interesting choice. Fair?
Yes, and I will tell you that it may be this way for a little while and then it changes.
Okay, fair enough. All right. All right. You want to do the different perspective, my darling?
Sure.
Actually, it is your turn to do a different perspective.
I didn't know we were even taking turns.
Well, we have been for the past number of episodes.
Oh.
All right. Well, anyway, just wanted to let you know, guys, that the different perspective, it's part of the show, and the show is all thanks to you, the Nerd Clan, and hashtag Nerd Clan. We love you so much. So please, if you find any joy in what we do, and any value in what we do, become an official member of our Nerd Clan. Go to jointhenerdclan.com, where you get tons of cool benefits like free swag, really cool extra podcast episodes, extra little bits of insider information that happens here at Mary and Blake Media, personal looks at Mary and I, and all really cool bits that everybody else, the official members, that who are not official members, do not get. So thank you so much. Go to jointhenerdclan.com. Become an official member. Get tons of extra and awesome benefits. You ready, Marvin?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter! I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
I'm Percy Weasley.
Oh, okay. All right, what do you got?
I'm a prefect.
Okay. What's up, Percy?
Listen, I've got a lot of
You know what,
siblings.
Percy? First of all, you're a little uptight.
You shouldn't be out of bed right now. Okay? I've got a lot of siblings. Some of them have already gone on and they're having some interesting careers. My two brothers, the twins, they're nitwits, but they do fine. They do fine in their grades. My little sister Ginny, oh my gosh, she just started this year. Got sorted in Gryffindor. Couldn't be prouder. And then I've got my brother Ron. And listen, I have really tried. I've tried with Ron.
Sure.
He's the one that I don't bond with the most.
Why is that, Percy? Why do you think?
He just hasn't found his way, and I don't think he has any drive.
Mm-hmm.
He does weird stuff, like really weird stuff. And he's got this weird friend, Harry, who, I know Harry's famous. He, got rid of Voldemort when he was a baby, whatever. Like, neither of them do really well in school.
Mm-hmm.
And their newest hobby is they hang out in a broken girl's bathroom.
What are we doing there?
My brother. And it stinks. Like, I have to write him up. And then Harry, did magic in front of me right when I said, please don't do it. His friend is a bad influence.
Sure.
And I don't know if I should tell my mom. And I hate to say it, but I think my sister's kind of got a crush on this Harry kid.
And he might be the heir to Slytherin. I mean, everybody's saying it, right, Percy?
Hey, listen, I don't know if we're going that far.
Is he? He's just the weird kid.
Penelope and I are going to meet in a little bit. And you don't even know what this means, Blake, but I got a girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
I'm a prefect. I get to write people up. Granted, half the time it's my little brother. But life is pretty good.
Is this why you've been sneaking around the halls? And is this why you've been acting
I'm
shady?
snogging all the time.
Oh my goodness.
I'm living
Percy,
La
don't you
Vida
got better
Loca.
things to do? You got to go. You're an RA essentially. You got to be watching all this
Yeah,
stuff.
life is good right now for me. That's what I'm saying. The only thing that isn't good, I've got a great job.
Yep.
My grades are awesome. Things are lining up for me to work at the Ministry of Magic someday. I've got a really hot girlfriend. The only thing that stinks is my brother because he's playing in toilet water.
And he's friends with the weird kid.
Yeah.
Luckily, though, Percy, he ain't the smelly kid.
He is. He's playing in toilet water. Yeah. The end.
Oh, good one, Mary. Good job. Good job. Good job. All right. You ready for the listener emails?
Yes, I am.
All right, everybody watching us live, this is your opportunity to get some questions in. I have seen some questions that have already been asked.
I would copy them and repaste them below.
Yes,
so
and
it's a
make
little
sure that
closer.
you do it with a lightning bolt emoji. That way we know it is, in fact, a question. And if you are listening to this in the podcast app the day later, fret not, you are okay. You are not alone. You can talk with us via email. Just email your questions about this chapter or next chapter or any chapter that you want to talk about, or if you just want to chat and make fun of us, that'd be cool too. Just email us at marianblakemedia@gmail.com and we will include it on the next episode. Marvin, you ready for this?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it.
Oh, Miles here.
All right, so we do have one email, and I have to call this email out because it is a very special email.
Do tell.
This email comes from Amber.
Amber.
Amber says that she loves the Potterverse.
Thank you, Amber.
And what's special about this is that she's only 12.
Oh my gosh, she's the same age as Harry in this book.
That's right. That is right. So she should feel all kinds of cool
yeah.
stuff from this book. She says she's only 12, but I am a Harry Potter fanatic and a proud Ravenclaw.
Ooh, so she's going to call us out on something
So,
probably
you know,
that I said wrong.
You know what, Amber? You should be happy about that because you're not a Hufflepuff. I also live in Western Australia, so it
Rolling
is
my eyes.
very strange to hear and you talk about the COVID situation in America. Yes, trust me, no matter where you are, if it's Australia, it could be New Zealand, it could be Antarctica. COVID is weird, Amber. COVID is really weird. I noticed, though, that you always say occlumency when referring to reading minds when, Mary, this is actually called legilimency.
Oh, it is! I knew she was going to. I'm like, it's a Ravenclaw letting it be known. They must know something that I'm messing up.
Occlumency is when you block
Block
people
it.
from reading your mind, Mary. I also really want you to do a different perspective of Ginny Weasley writing in Tom Riddle's diary.
Yes.
The question for you, Mary, is what do you think you would have happened if Hermione got the diary instead of Ginny? Thanks so much for the podcast, Amber.
Oh, that's a great question. So, as I said earlier in this episode, Amber, I think that Tom Riddle learned a lot about Harry Potter because it was Ginny writing in the book. I think that when Lucius Malfoy sent the book into school, it was really to open up the Chamber of Secrets and to destroy all the mudbloods there. As Dobby says, like, it's not necessarily particularly dangerous for Harry, but it's a dangerous place to be, and he doesn't want Harry there. So Lucius isn't sending the book in to kill Harry. He's sending it in so that Voldemort's wish comes true and the mudbloods are gone.
Sure.
So I think that had it been given to Hermione, he probably would be sick and tired about hearing about Gilderoy Lockhart and would be like, whatever, can you please just come to the bathroom and open it?
Yeah, just
Lockhart's
whatever,
down there.
fine.
Bring him if you want.
I'll take care of him too.
Sure.
We'll figure it out.
But he would definitely think about it. If it was Hermione, who is Muggle-born,
Sure.
ooh, he would have played cat and mouse. Like, I think he would have been really, really bad with Hermione
In what way? What do you mean?
because he would have wanted to kill her, or like right away.
Okay.
So I think he would have been absolutely driven sick once he found out that she was Muggle-born.
Yeah, but the problem though would be that
He would have her open the chamber
okay.
and make sure that she was his first victim of death.
Got it. Okay, I see what you're saying. I got you.
That's what I
You know,
think.
I think that's a good one. I like that.
Oh.
Like she would open the chamber and then he would do something to make her
He would just be like, here's your food, Basilisk. Feast.
have some fun.
Nom nom.
Yeah, that would make sense. All right, let's see. Okay, we got let's see if we have any questions here. Okay, Rebecca asks, is the Olaf Harry Potter song happening for us patrons, Mary?
It's coming soon.
It is coming soon. It is coming soon. We are still in the middle of fine-tuning it. We want to make sure it's just right for you guys. Rachel says, does anyone else think that the picture of the dwarf looks like Mr. T in our studio? Yes, in our studio, if you're listening in the podcast app, we have our studio, and above us and behind us is a giant TV screen with what I always put the title chapters and what the photo from the illustrated version.
Yes.
And the photo is of a dwarf holding a bow and arrow with wings. and his
It's
hair.
a Cupid Mr. T.
Yeah, it looks like Mr. T. So yes, it does.
Beautiful.
Let's see.
So good.
Let's see if we have any others. Haley Road says, "Who are you guys? I'm in love with everything Harry Potter, and no one told me about you. I'm a Ravenclaw, and I focused my Make-A-Wish around Harry Potter."
Oh, yay, Haley.
Wow, that is excellent,
Thanks
Haley.
for joining us.
And I will say this for you, Haley. We have a brand new listener. You're welcome, and welcome to the family.
Let us know how you found us, Haley. That would be awesome.
I imagine that someone probably shared it, and she is looking into it now. So thank
Yay.
you so much for joining our community.
Gloria Costa asks, I don't understand why none of the teachers didn't question how Hermione became a cat.
HIPAA.
There you
That's
go.
it. Madam
Yeah.
Pomfrey is HIPAA compliant.
I also think that Hermione's at an age where she can just say, she's going through a change right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's 12. She's just going through a change right now. And all the teachers were like, oh, nope, no questions asked. No questions asked. Anna Ashley says, would you have continued writing in the diary like Harry did? And if so, even knowing what it did, would you have kept it because it was magical?
You see, now that's a real question here. Knowing what it did, does that mean knowing
it works.
knowing that it was a Horcrux, knowing that
No,
it was
not-
evil?
Harry doesn't know that it's a Horcrux or evil or anything
Yeah,
like
but she
that.
says even knowing what it did, would you have kept it because it was magical?
No. I've watched way too many scary movies of things
Yes.
being possessed where
Yep.
I don't want any of that stuff. Give me some basilisk thing and I'm ready to go.
I would say that Harry has a mystery ahead of him, and someone's telling him, I know the answer. I know that this was opened, that the Chamber of Secrets was opened 50 years ago, and they never caught him, and they never found out what was doing all this stuff. And that gives Harry purpose. This whole book, he has struggled with his purpose, his identity, doing things on his own, struggling with his friends. And finally, this book gives him that. So would I have kept it without knowing that it was a Horcrux, knowing that it was evil? Yeah, I think I would have.
I know you would have.
Because it would have been my release. It would have been that
It
thing.
would have been a pen pal that isn't in on your inner circle.
Right, right.
And then it's kind of like TV. You can go escape somewhere for a little bit. Or you can go roam the halls.
Our cat has joined us, Lumos, and Rebecca Ann says, "Cat butt, yes, my day is completed."
That it is. All right, so that wraps up for our listener questions.
Yes, if you have any other questions coming up, get them in now as we start winding this show down.
Yeah.
Marvin, you got anything else to say about this chapter? Anything else that you want to talk about? Final thoughts?
No.
Whatever we got here.
No, I talked a long time.
We did talk a long time. This episode is actually an hour 6.
Yeah,
So there was a lot to talk about.
there was,
There was a
man.
lot to talk about. All right,
There was a lot.
let's close this bad boy out, shall we?
Yes.
Let's do it.
As always, sharing is caring. If this podcast brought you joy, please share it with a friend. If all of our listeners shared this podcast with just one friend, text it to them, send it in a Facebook message, or share it on their wall, you would double our listenership.
And here's a prime example. Haley Road just chimes in back on Facebook. She says, I found you guys in a group called Weasley's Whimsical World of Harry Potter. And yay, I'm so excited to be part of the podcast. Well, you're welcome, Haley.
Thank you, Haley.
So there you go. That is proof positive.
Yes.
Live time that if you share, the community will grow. So please do. Haley, right now, share it. Share it to the world,
Share it
girlfriend.
in another one of your Harry Potter groups if you like. And those of you who are listening and you want to make sure you can join in the live conversation, you can do that simply by texting the phone number 81010 and in the message field at Elderwand. So at ELDERWAND in the message field, and the number once again is 81010. That'll get you on our complimentary texting service. And I send you a message to say, guess what? We're going live tonight. Come and join us.
Mary, you want to know something, a little secret?
Yep.
I'm liking this book a lot more than I thought I would.
I knew it would happen. Oh, my name's Mary.
My name's Blake.
Mischief managed.
That is it, ladies
that's
and
the
gents.
show. Haley, thank you so much once again. Make sure you hit like onto the Mary and Blake page so that you can always come on back here and check out the videos. We do go live twice a week, and we're tackling, of course, the Chamber of Secrets chapter by chapter. We do 2 chapters a week. We are in iTunes, Stitcher, all the different podcast apps, so you can subscribe there and check out our previous episodes. So happy to have you all here tonight. Yeah, things are moving and grooving inside this book. So we will, of course, be going live again on Monday to tackle the next chapter.
Yes, we will be back. We're having some fun, talking some Harry Potter. And we got This Is Us coming back up on the 28th of October. And on November 15th, 16th, 17th-ish, we will be doing a large binge of The Crown. So
Yes.
go to jointhenerdclan.com for...
Yeah.
The Crown
If you're a
podcast.
fan of The Crown, you will want to make sure you're a member at jointhenerdclan.com because that is the only place that the Crown episodes Keep Calm and Crown On podcast are available to. It is a thank you. It's one of the many ways that we thank our friends at jointhenerdclan.com, which is our Patreon community where people donate as little as $2 a month to make sure that we're able to keep this going. And Haley, since you're here, and for anyone else who is new, we are doing an entire Harry Potter reread, chapter by chapter, movie by movie, going throughout the entire universe because 2020 has been hard for so many of us, and we want to bring a little Lumos in the time of Nox. So if you are still joining us, please, please, please take a moment, share this on your wall, share it in your stories. If you're a part of any other Harry Potter communities online, please share it in there. We want to get this to be a fun, vibrant community where more people get to tune in and enjoy the Potterverse.
Anna asks, how many chapters we got left? We only got 4 more chapters left
That's
after
it.
this. Well, technically 15, 16, 17, 18. We got 14 more chapters. 4 more chapters for the rest of this book.
What?
Which
Cornelius Fudge.
which
yes.
is which is weird. I like when we did the Sorcerer's Stone, this surprised me how quickly the Chamber of Secrets went.
Yeah.
It just boom, boom, boom. Like we just started the 3rd act. That's it. We just started it. We are towards the end. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Anna asks, so when we're done with this book, will you guys be pausing on this for a bit or coming once a week? So we have not finalized that. We will not be pausing our Harry Potter entirely. We are going to figure out if we're going to be able to continue to do it twice a week or if we'll only be able to do it once a week. We are planning on binging The Crown, so that won't be a huge hindrance in a recording of Potter. But because we're going to be done with this in 2 weeks, and it's going to line up very closely to when This Is Us starts up.
Actually, it will be a perfect match. I think.
We will still do 2 times a week to finish this book.
Yes.
And then we are going to figure out things from there, if it's going to be once a week or still twice a week. We're loving it.
I love doing
yes.
it. I love coming into this community with you guys and twice a week.
And it might just be that our second day is not always going to be as consistent as a date, which is why I want to make sure everyone's on our texting service. I'm pretty sure I can say that we can always go live on Mondays to do Harry Potter. But then Tuesdays we'll watch This Is Us. Wednesdays we will record about This Is Us. That will be This Is Us 2, which will also be live in the same place.
Yep,
so if you watch This Is Us, you can tune in here. And then if we continue to do 2 chapters of Harry Potter, it may not always be on Thursday. It might be Friday. So we're going to talk. I would hope that we could still do it twice a week, as it has been really fun for us. And I think if we did it just 1 chapter a week, it would be hard, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, Victoria asks, will you do the movie after the book or all the books first? Victoria, we are doing all the book and then the film right after.
Yes.
So after our final chapter of the Chamber of Secrets, our next episode will be the movie of the Chamber of Secrets, and Mary and I will also be doing an audio commentary with the movie, but that is for all the members at jointhenerdclan.com. So if you guys want to get the commentary track for the Sorcerer's Stone, it's right at jointhenerdclan.com.
Yeah.
So it's already there. So, but we'll be doing one for the Chamber of Secrets and all the sequential movies after that too.
Yes. So I will say tentatively, no matter what, we'll still continue to be doing Harry Potter on Mondays, and then, just make sure that you're on our reminder service. That's texting the number 81010 and at Elderwand in the message field, or you can go to remind.com/join/Elderwand. So if someone wouldn't mind typing that inside the chat, it's remind.com/join/elderwand, and you can sign up there, and that is just when I send a little message. It's completely complimentary. It's like, hey, we're going live, or hey, guess what? Our kids woke up, or they're sick, and we're not able to go on live tonight.
Right.
This is 2020, and before COVID hit, we were able to be very consistent because we would have childcare, and we don't have a babysitter. We've had a babysitter since
Since
your
March.
birthday,
Yeah,
March.
my birthday, March 3rd. No, we haven't had a babysitter.
Yeah, so because of that, being that we have 2 young kids, they're our number one priority, and we appreciate your flexibility when it comes to that.
Yeah,
matter.
everybody, thank you so much. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to finish up Chamber of Secrets. I'm excited to get to the film.
Oh, yes.
We watched the film recently. I would say maybe a couple of months ago. But I'm looking
We
more.
rewatched all the movies
Yes.
as we started this journey with the Potterverse.
Yes, and we wanted to do that, but I look forward to watching the Chamber of Secrets because now we've read the book and knowing all the little details and really digging deep into the text. It's not, again, not to compare the two, but just to dig deeper within the text and within
Gotta
the
dig a little deeper.
within the framework of the film too. It's very interesting, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm proud of you that you knew that song. Do you know the movie?
Hercules?
Mm-mm.
Oh no, it's Princess and the Frog.
There you go.
I got you.
There you go. All right, my friends. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we will talk with you soon.
All right, guys.
Good night.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Bye.